Hemingway, and you, right?
Quite correct.
What do you think when you saw yourself on a list? That's a hell of a good list to be on.
Well, I thought it was bizarre because, you know, I only wrote the book to get a bit of money. So I'm sure Shakespeare was the same way. So it must
You're right. It's such a. You were knighted by the Queen. Now, for Americans, we don't. When you're knighted by the Queen, I mean, what does knighted mean? I mean, you're a knight. Now we know you don't ride out. With the armor, those days are over. But do you get like free movie passes? I mean, what is it? What does it mean when you get? What do you get?
It's a pretty important thing because it means you get to graze your cows on common pasture land. It means that you can wear your jeans into restaurants because people won't tell you not to. But other than that, it's just an honorary thing, And like Americans always say, "Oh, it doesn't mean anything over here." They're the ones who go crazy, Sir Bobbing all over the place, I mean, when I got the thing, I was in Los Angeles with Dave Stewart recording, and the British Consul General came along and he said, "Mr. Geldof, Her Majesty would like to offer you Knight Commander of the British Empire." I said, "Well, thanks very much," because I didn't really know what it was being Irish, And he said, "It's a great honor." I said, "Yeah, thank you." And I was flying to New York to do the Amnesty concerts, and I was going on the cheapest possible flight I could get, sort of routing around the North Pole and stopping in Cincinnati. And when I got to LAX to get on the plane, there was the entire corporate staff of American Airlines waiting and groveling and Sir Bobbing like crazy, but they didn't upgrade me. They escorted me to my seat in the rear toilet, and that was it.
One of the questions everyone has about the Band Aid and Live Aid is the whole idea of it was to save lives and to help those people. Now, and one of the questions people keep saying, well, did the money get there? Were the people helped? What? There's never a follow-up to things here in the States. We have, things splash on the newspaper, and then 2 days later they're in page 9 and page 12 and 27. But what has happened? What from all the proceeds that you collect?
Well, the follow-up is in the papers. I mean, because the story is dead as far as they're concerned. The only story that they care to print after that is a negative story, because that's the dynamic of something. You go up and you go down. With regard to Band Aid money, we got about $120 million from Live Aid and Band Aid. And out of that, 20% went on disaster emergency relief, which is food, clothing, shelter, medicine, things to stop people dying now. That was in the disaster period, 84, 85. 20% went on logistics, which is ships, trucks, bridges, things like that. We had 12 ships and 600 trucks, which we still have operating in Africa. And then 60% went on long-term development, which is a very boring idea. Basically, it's agricultural, but what it means is that you can give a guy a fish and he'll live for a day. But if you teach him to fish, he'll live for the rest of his life. And that's what long-term development is. It varies. It's from giving a guy $200 to keep bees in the middle of the desert, which sounds ludicrous, but actually it's a very good thing, to giving $3 million to immunize 30 million children against disease that is related to famine. And so the projects vary like that. We had a problem because we got asked for $1.5 billion worth of projects from all the agencies like CARE and World Vision and those, and we only had 120 million to give, so we had to be very selective, and we got together really the most overqualified board of people assembled who would work for free and choose which projects would have the most lasting effect. So for every one we accept, we reject about 30. We're still operating. We've got an organization in America, one in Britain, one in France, one in Italy, and we have field directors in 8 African countries. I'm the chairman of the organization. My office is in Band Aid, and I call them about twice a day. And as for the people over here, obviously I know all the people in the USA for Africa organization very well, and all their stuff has followed through as well. But I can absolutely guarantee you that if you gave money to Live Aid, every cent that you gave has gone to somebody who needed it. No governments, to people who needed it, through all the agencies who work in this country, like World Vision and CARE, or England, Oxfam, Save the Children, UNICEF, all those, it goes through them. So it's worked pretty well. Certainly if you gave money on that day, you can be sure that there are millions of people alive today who would not have been if you hadn't watched a pop concert.
That's great. And that was the whole purpose. That's great. You really knocked yourself out to get it organized, to get it on, and then you still had to stay attached to it. When you went back to music, did you get it was like a new feeling to get back into the music after all that you gave up?
Well, first, I mean, for me, it was like, you know, getting into a warm bath after a hard day's work. What I did was, I was between meetings, and Daryl Hall called me and said, would I come down and do some backing vocals? And I went into the studio, and it'd been 2 years, and it was so intuitive to me. It literally was not a matter of life and death, you know. And I suddenly, you know, was singing with these guys, and Dave Stewart was there. But the thing that bothered me was that I couldn't really go on TV like this, having been on TV for 2 years talking about this other thing, and then suddenly swap between talking about literally matters of life and death, and then, but really, I've got a record out, and I want you to buy that. I mean, it would be distasteful and crass.
The juxtaposition of that is...
Plus, yeah, so I didn't know, you know, also I thought people would scrutinize the words, you know, and say, well, this is about Africa, and that's about that. I thought, well, what if I don't want to do that? What if I want to write, yummy, 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 I've got love in my tummy, you know? And of course, the problem then is if I'd written that, they'd have said that was a song about starvation, you know? So I was in a difficult position, and I remember the first time I went back on TV and picked up a guitar and sang, and in England particularly, I mean, they're used to me coming on, shouting at a politician and walking off. Yeah, right. And there was this sort of ripple of embarrassment in the audience, sort of saying, what the hell is he doing now? But it was okay, you know. I mean, I think people are now used to the fact that I go out and play songs.
Well, we're glad you came back to music. Matter of fact, after we take a little break, we're going to hear you perform with Boy Preston NightLife Band. So we'll be right back with NightLife right after this.